Hey everyone, I'm live and I'm actually headed to the Plank in downtown Oakland, and thought I'd make another walking vlog since maybe a little off time. But one of the top stories this week is what happened to Seattle Seahawks defensive lineman Michael Bennett, who was stopped at gunpoint by a Las Vegas police officer. And from what I'm reading, it's a really tragic story. It's a cool place, by the way. Stop in there. It's a really tragic story, from what I understand, that really cries for somebody having a video camera. Because, hey, how you doing? The reason why I say that is because incidents like that happen to black men quite a bit. It happened to Jeff Blake, the tennis player, and in that instance, Blake was just minding his own business, standing, checking his email at the Grand Hyatt in New York, and all of a sudden, this New York police officer tackles him, because some short Asian woman came over and pointed to him as being the person who committed a crime. Just pointed at him. He had done nothing. He had done absolutely nothing. Hey Karen, how you doing? He had done nothing. And the woman came over, pointed at him, and next thing you know, he's tackled on the ground. So it wasn't until he was in the process of being booked and someone's identified him as being, a star, right? So it's absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. And the reason why I say take a video camera is because, I'll take this bus here. Hold on a second. Oh, cool. Hey, what's the fare? Okay, thank you. Since I've taken a bus, sorry. It's counted up $3. Oh, I get it. Okay. Do I get a bingo at the end of this? Okay. No, ma'am.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay, thanks. Okay. So anyway, this is nice. It's been years since I've taken a bus. This is quite nice. Wow. They've been gussied it up, and they don't have the cloth anymore. They've got hard seats. Take a look at this. See this? It's an AC Transit bus in Oakland. But as far as Michael Bennett and what I was talking about, that's not something that should happen to anybody. You should be able to have the freedom of movement wherever you want to go in this society. And yet, Michael Bennett, obviously what happened to him, didn't have that. So this has happened before in Vegas. But John Mark says, yeah, AC Transit has changed. It certainly has. Let's take a look. Take a look. Ta-da. So anyway, but the reason why I say take a video is because there's always some idiot that's going to come along and say, don't play the race card and all that stuff. And yeah, I did say that, idiot. Because the beauty of social media is that you can actually see what happens to people, particularly someone black, if if someone black, if it happens to them, and a person, and they say, hey, because I'm black, and then you don't have the video, right? Then again, somebody says, hey, that's the race card. Race is not a card to play, all right? It is not a card to play. So, and that's why you should really have a video. You really should have video, okay? and it's also why I think the NFL needs to think twice, all right, about going to Las Vegas with Las Vegas police history of racism, or as Stanley Washington told me a little while ago, like last week, he said that Southern Nevada is worse than Mississippi. I mean, excuse me, Missouri, not Mississippi, Missouri. All right, and with 60% of the players in the NFL being black, the NFL needs to think about what kind of situation it gets its players into by having them in regions like that. That should not have happened to Michael Bennett. You're supposed to be treated like royalty. That's the simple fact of the matter. Now, the other problem is one of see here. Eric says the other problem is one of, I call it the I'll just call it the dog issue. Okay, there are some people who have more empathy for dogs than people. And if you say, hey, something bad happened to me, and you explain that what it was, and it was because it was race, they don't allow you to tell your story. They just don't, and that's bad. But on the other hand, that same person would hate it if you didn't want to. That person would hate it if something happened to them and they gave you a reason, you explained it away without knowing their story. All right? So that's what they set themselves up for. And that's the kind of country that, very sadly, we have established. It really is. Hey, John Marks, I think TMZ has coverage of the problem, pretty much. Oh, by the way, what's going on with... let's check out my favorite cafe back there. It's called, Farley's East. Farley's East. So anyway, I wanted to talk about the Michael Bennett situation because that's happened to me. That situation happened to me in Las Vegas myself at the Consumer Electronics Show, and yes, it was because I was black, and so it happened to me. I was on press day at CES Las Vegas, and on press. Well, first of all, if you know what CES is, it's the show put on by the Consumer Electronics Association. Okay. And the Consumer Electronics Association has this fantastic event that draws about 170,000, 175,000 people who have tickets, and maybe more, 200,000 overall, right? But it's a fun event for the tech set, and I've gone 8 years in a row. Anyway, about 4 years ago, about 4 years ago, I was walking through with my camcorder, and I was filming, the setup, right? And this older white female security lady just comes and basically gets in my face. Now, at the time, I was filming myself, doing a selfie. And she's like, stop filming, stop pointing that, and I said, I'm pointing my, before I get over to edgewise, she's in my face and in my chest, okay? And part of this is on camera, because I had my camera running. So, I immediately sought to get her fired. I went to CES, I went to the person that was there, and then I waited for them to call the sheriff, and they called the sheriff, okay? And the sheriff came over, and I made a strong case for having her fired. She was like, ugh, and so he said, where are you going? I said, this is press day, and I was invited to the Sony event. And Sony has this, well, it used to be really kick-ass, now it's kind of like event. And it started at 5:30. So the sheriff says, okay, I'll give you two choices. You can stay here and deal with complaining about her, or I can walk you down to Sony. What do you want to do? And I said, and I thought about it. And I thought, you know, I don't want to miss Sony. I kept my objective in my head. So we walked down Sony, and we had the greatest time because the guy said, you know, that he said something I'll never forget, obvious by the fact that I'm telling you this. He said that, you know, that's the kind of person where they give authority in a Cracker Jack box. Okay? And he said that you have to ignore those kind of people because they don't know, and you did the right thing by calling us. He said, you ever have a problem, you call me. You know, relationships are what matter. But that shouldn't have come down to that. The one thing that I've learned in life is that, first of all, you never fear calling a police officer or any other higher level of law enforcement, even against law enforcement. I do it all the time, okay? So, I do it all the time. So, but I should never have come to that at all. So there are people who are going to want to explain it away, and I think it's disrespectful to do so. And people like that are not my friends. Sorry. So, you know, because you have to be able to listen to another person's walk in life. And since I listen to a number of people, you know, and their struggles, I don't care if you're, you know, I don't care what you are, I don't care what background, and anyone can look at my videos and see the protest marches I've covered and people that I've covered who didn't get coverage before I paid attention to them, and that would be it. Now, someone's pointed out that more white people killed by cops than blacks, but I'll tell you something, more white folks do crimes against blacks than anything else. And that has to be, you think about slavery and lynching and everything else, drop the statistics, because that is overwhelmingly true. I mean, it really is, okay? Sorry. You have to understand America and embrace our history and our current situation too. So that's just a fact. So those people who say, well, oh, you know, the biggest problem is black on black crime, or whatever, you know what? The biggest problem historically has been white on black crime. And this is another form of white on black crime. Just because someone has a badge doesn't mean it's okay to do it. It's not. It just isn't. So I really think the NFL needs to think about that. Oh, and someone just said that by percentages, you're an idiot. I mean, to say that, you're just straight up an idiot. I mean, to say that, seriously, to say that lynchings don't count, or beatings on the part of white persons to black persons, you do that, then the percentages are way high in that other favor. Okay, I'm sorry. And that's exactly what I said, because I can't believe anybody on my channel would even think to try to equalize a situation where blacks have been victimized historically in that way. I mean, if you don't, I'm very serious about that. And folks, what I'm talking about is I'm on live stream and you can't see the chat, and I just happened to see a comment where someone was talking about percentages and how many times blacks were taxed for, you know, and that sort of thing. And I'm thinking, what? Okay. No, get out. Just go away. I'm serious. Go. When it comes to race, you don't pick at a person who's been profiled or anything like that. I mean, I don't care if I don't see you again. I'm honest about that. I just don't care. That there's right and there's wrong, and racism is wrong. And the more we kowtow to things and say, oh, you're playing the race card, or oh, it was by percentages and all this, the more things don't change. Get out. I'm sorry, just go. I don't want to hear it at all. I don't want to hear it. And no, it's not the NFL's fault, but the NFL can do something about it. The NFL could protect people like Michael Bennett. The NFL needs to protect its players. They're paying them. You don't just pay a person who's on the young side of adulthood and then automatically expect them to be this great thing, okay? You just don't. And, no, right? TMZ where they had Bennett, and Michael Bennett is a stand-up guy. He, you know, wasn't. Oh, Crawford says the video is out. All right. Well, I can't show the video here for copyright reasons. Okay. Yes, we're talking about Michael Bennett, GSU. Yeah. So, yeah, but like I said, you know, they showed the video on ESPN. Okay. Wow. That's horrible stuff. That's horrible stuff. You know, and not only that, I've seen, and I'm not surprised the Vegas cop was a jerk. I remember another time this year, I was at CES and I was in a Lyft ride, and a driver who was dark Indian, I believe, maybe I want to say Azerbaijani, but he had taken. He turned right but when he turned right, but he turned right, but he went to the left lane, which is a no-no. You're supposed to turn right and stay in the right lane. And the cop stopped him, and the guy was just off the chart mad. Give me your, he started yelling and, you know, get it. I mean, the guy was just crazy mad. And I was on the phone as this was happening, and I started to turn my phone around just to photograph, you know, the video him, and I didn't. And I thought maybe the guy would just settle down. And eventually he did, because fortunately the driver didn't rise to his level of anger, right? But there was no reason for it. All for, you know, making a wrong turn. And it wasn't even a classically wrong turn, okay? So, ironically enough, when I left CES, I was at the airport, and there was this Israeli fellow who was giving the station agent, the gate agent, a bit of a hard time, the United Airlines gate agent, but he was doing so, you know, some Israeli men, you know, they're very vocal, and they have that culture and style where they say, hey, you know what, basically, let's see here. Okay. So anyway, sorry about that, folks. I just had to block someone who was basically making a lot of idiotic comments about black folks and on my channel, which I don't tolerate. So, bye-bye. Like I said, I'm not tolerating that stuff tonight. So if you got something to say that you think is going to be borderline offensive toward me or pissing me off, you ain't coming back. And you're not a fan. You ain't coming back. I'm sorry. I'm very happy to block you tonight. You have no business on my channel. Go away. That's just how I feel. And here we are. We are at the plank. Woohoo! Yeah. All right. Thank you. Okay. All right. So we're at the plank, folks. That was AC Transit. Ta-da! It's a nice ride. Jack London Square, that's Jack London Inn. The plank is here, okay? And I'm going inside. There's a basketball game on. So, let's see what's happening here. All right. 1, 2, 3. Uh-oh. I think they're here. Yeah, they are here. Hey, everybody.
What's happening, Zeddy?
Uh-oh. Should I shut this off?
Yeah, shut it off. Say hi to everybody.
Hey, say hey to everybody.
Just so everyone knows, we're entering a Forever Oakland core specific meeting. We'll be back.
So I'm going to shut this off right now, but, hey, sorry, Eric, but I had to block you.
From the islands.
I am from the islands. I'm from Jamaica. I'm from Jamaica. But anyway, I'll be back later. Remember, racism is a mental illness. Do not support racism at all. At all. Okay? Call racist people out and make them change. Make them get help. Racism is a mental illness, and it should not be tolerated by anybody, especially anybody who's in law enforcement paid to protect and to serve. Remember that. I'll see you guys. All right. I'll be back. That's right.